If it's Thursday night, oh, yes, it is. The premiere of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday. We are back and we are better than ever. Hello, friends. Anthony Floyer here with you for this, our season premiere of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday. We are beyond delighted to have you with us, and we are both beyond delighted to be here, as this is literally our favorite time of the year when it comes to the calendar year, because this is something we've been looking forward to for many, many months, ever since the last college football season ended. And here we are, all ready to bring you another college football season, and we're looking forward to it. And if you're not familiar with what we did on our last season, well, what we do on this show, very simple. We give our predictions and our thoughts as to what we think will happen in the games of top 25 nature. That's what we're going to do. We're going to preview those games. We'll give you our thoughts on them, tell you who we think will ultimately win. Of course, we'll also give you schematics. You know the schematics? Well, when it comes to the college games, we only go by the announcers for the games, the network it's on, and the odds as to who's the favorite to win. And I did some research earlier today to get ready for the show. And let me tell you, the biggest favorite of the week. Oh, wow. I couldn't believe it when I saw who the big favorite was this week. That's all I'm going to say. So, all right. So, and then there's also power rankings as well. But here's the thing. Since this is opening week, there will be no power rankings whatsoever. However, the power rankings will go into effect next week. So keep that in mind. We got a lot of games to get into, so let's not waste any more time. Like I said, I am Anthony Floyer, and I am joined by my partners in crime, of course, Michael Fletcher, Michael Bullock. And fellas, let's not waste any more time. Let's dive right on in. We've waited long enough. Here we go. Strictly Sports College Football Thursday is on the air. And right now, we have there were two games that were on the schedule for tonight in the top 25. We have one game that has gone final. Louisville absolutely pounding Charlotte. They pounded Charlotte to a pulp. 70-14 was the final in that one. And then right now, Appalachian State. Remember them? Do you remember what they did about a decade ago? We all remember what they did in the opening week. I'm not gonna say it to these guys because they know where I'm going. Could they be on the verge of doing it again? Because right now they are tied with Tennessee right now, 13-13, and that game on the SEC network from Neyland Stadium in the University of Tennessee. So we'll keep you posted as to what's going on with that game as soon as we get any more developments. So with all that being said, let's dive right on in. And the first game that we're going to talk about, three games that are going to start for tomorrow night, and it's going to start with the number 12th ranked Spartans of Michigan State, and they are going to host the Paladins of Furman. And this will be at 7 o'clock tomorrow night, and this game will be broadcast on the Big Ten Network. And on the call for this game for the Big Ten Network, you're going to have Justin Kutcher with Jim Miller and Johnny Kane. They are going to be your announcers for that game. And unfortunately, I do not have a spread for this game, but you would have to imagine Michigan State. You have to imagine would have to be a substantial favorite in this game. And I'm not going to dilly dally around this one. This is all Michigan State. Michigan State's going to win this thing. They're going to win this thing going away. I think it's going to be a rout. I really do. I think it's going to be somewhere along the lines of like maybe 51-3, something like that. I mean, that's all I can say on that. I mean, we all know Michigan State's going to be one of the big players in the Big Ten this year. I mean, they're one of the big three in that conference. Of course, Ohio State and Michigan, the others, and we're going to get into them shortly. But, I mean, that offense is loaded. The defense is loaded. But they're more known for the defense. And the defense is absolutely going to smother Furman. They're going to bury them. So there's nothing left for me to say here. I'm not going to waste any more time. Michigan State's going to roll. They're going to roll big. So give me Sparty in this one. So Michael Fletcher, Furman, Michigan State, the first of our, and there will be, like I said, there's going to be some, dud enhancement games, and this is one of them. So, all right, Fletch, I already know who you have, but just put us out of our misery anyway. Furman against Michigan State tomorrow night.
Yes, indeed. I'm going to go with Michigan State as well. I think they're just a really good team. I think we pretty much gave us a little preview last week when we were talking about how I felt Michigan State was like the third best team in the Big Ten Conference and definitely was going to be a legitimate threat to win at least I think the North Division, or I should say the East Division of the Big Ten Conference. And really, you got to look at it this way. A lot of people are wondering, well, you don't have Connor Cook. Connor Cook has gone on to the NFL, so how's the quarterback position going to look? They still got a stout defense. You still got Mark D'Antonio as their head coach. So, I mean, and plus, with a lot of the great underclassmen that they got, actually they were one of the top 10 out of the recruiting class, according to ESPNU. So, I mean, they're going to be fine. And plus, Furman is not really a major threat of a team, to say the very least. So, I mean, I got nothing bad to say here. It's going to be Michigan State in a rout. I think we can all agree with that. So, Michael Bullock, it's on to you.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Michigan State as well to win this. It's going to be a blowout. And they're going to be, like you said, Fletch, they're going to be one of the teams to compete for a Big Ten title. So we'll wait and see how all that goes. So I'm not going to waste any more time as well. So Michigan State's going to win in our route. So, Floria, let's just move on to our next game.
And unfortunately, it's going to be another dud enhancement game, I'm afraid. We got number 23, Baylor, the Baylor Bears at McLean Stadium in Waco. They're going to be hosting the Demons of Northwestern State. This game will be broadcast on the FSN network, or according to what I see here in this local advertisement, MSG Plus. We're going to have Mark Followill, Ben Lieber, and Brian Baldinger, along with Leslie McCaslin. They're going to be on the call from Waco, Texas, and I don't have a spread for this game either. But you have to imagine Baylor's got to be a substantial favorite as well. So there's nothing left to say here. This is another dud enhancement game. We're going to make this quick, like we just did on the last one. So, all right, I'm just very curious. Who do you have in this one? I wonder.
Yeah, I got Baylor as well. I think Baylor is definitely going to be a very good team this year, a very tough team. They definitely look like they could definitely, they'll be somewhat of a threat in the Big 12. I don't think they're going to win the division or win the conference, I should say. I think we all can agree here that this is going to be Oklahoma's to lose. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to kind of look at the body of work, the whole 9 yards, what could be a repercussion type event or anything else like that. I'm going to say it like this. I think it's going to be Baylor easy. Like I said, I'm not going to give a score. Whenever I feel it's going to be a blowout, it's not even worth the time or the energy to waste. So let's just move on. Michael Bullock, it's yours. I got Baylor going big.
Yeah, I'm going to second that as well. I got Baylor winning big as well, and who knows? I mean, they could be a good team, but I do agree they're probably not going to win it. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how this team will be this year under interim head coach Jim Grobe. Of course, we all know the controversy surrounding Baylor. I'm not even going to get into that nonsense. So. Yeah, there's really nothing more for me to say. Baylor's going to win in a blowout, so no need for a score. So, Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do from now on. When we have done enhancement games, we're not going to give any scores on that. We'll only do it on what we feel are, competitive games. And trust me, there's going to be a lot of competitive games on this opening weekend, maybe the most loaded kickoff weekend maybe in history. But, yeah, I got Baylor. I got them winning big. There's nothing left to say on that. So we're all in agreement here. All right. Well, we're going to move on to what could be maybe a competitive game here. We'll see. The final game tomorrow night, 9 o'clock on Fox Sports 1. We got the number 8 ranked Stanford Cardinal at Stanford Stadium in Palo Alto. They're going to be hosting the Wildcats of Kansas State out of the Big 12. And this game, like I said, will be broadcast on Fox Sports 1. And calling this game for them, one of our personal favorites. We call him Mr. Squeals. Yes, Gus Johnson, the great Gus Johnson, is going to be on the call. He's going to be joined by his partner, Joel Klatt. Not Molly McGrath this time around. Molly McGrath is on a new network now. Molly McGrath has moved to ESPN. And replacing her, ironically, is someone who used to be at ESPN, but now at Fox Sports 1, Shannon Spake. So Gus Johnson with Joel Klatt and Shannon Spake, they're going to be on the call for that game. And as for the spread, Stanford is the favorite. I do have a spread here finally. Stanford is the favorite to win this game. It's between 14.5 to 15. That's the spread in favor of the Cardinal. So, Michael Bullock, we started off with you. Kansas State against Stanford on Fox Sports 1. Who do you like in this one?
Yeah, when it comes to this one, I got to go with the excuse me. Yeah, I got to go with Stanford in this one. Here's the thing. Stanford, they're one of the favorites in the Pac-12. Probably, maybe. Because here's the thing. Going into this season, Stanford has won 3 of the past 4 Pac-12 titles under David Shaw. And another reason, they got probably one of the favorites to win the Heisman Trophy, and that's Heisman Trophy runner-up from last year, Christian McCaffrey, and they got a new quarterback, of course. Of course, Ryan Burns is going to be the starting quarterback. Of course, replacing, of course, Kevin Hogan and yeah. So, of course, Kansas State, of course, they got Jesse Ertz back, who as the starting quarterback because, of course, he had an ACL injury last year. So, but the thing is, Stanford, they're just too good. I got them winning this one. I'm going to say my final score is going to be, I'm going to say 38 to, I'm going to go 38-14 as my final score. They're just too good, especially, like I said, with the best, probably one of the best running backs in the country, and Christian McCaffrey, and I think he's definitely going to be in that Heisman race again this year. So give me the Stanford Cardinal to win this one. So, Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, I like Stanford in that one too, Bullock. I agree with you on that.
Oh, and Florio, before you talk about this,
yes,
I have an update on the game. We are going to overtime between Appalachian State and Tennessee.
Oh boy, could lightning strike?
Could lightning strike twice? I hate to bring this up. What Appalachian State did to my team, Michigan.
Thought you were.
They actually had a chance to win this game in regulation. Appalachian State made a big mental error. I just hope it does not come back to haunt them, but they could have won this game in regulation.
Boy, could you imagine this? This is like just the first night of the college football season, and we could have a potential upset.
Very, very possible indeed. We all remember what happened. And a matter of fact, it was on this very day. Remember that, on this very day.
They upset Michigan.
2007, Appalachian State pulled off what many are calling the biggest upset in college football history. They went into the Big House and upset Michigan. We all remember that.
Yeah, and Michigan, I think they were like ranked number 2, I think.
They were ranked very high. I know they were. I'm pretty sure they were in the top 10. I don't remember off the top of my head how high they were.
Yeah, but after that loss, they went from being in the top 10 to being out of the polls.
Indeed, they did, and they weren't really the same after that. They never really recovered.
I was just about to say that they haven't been the same since that. I mean, yeah, they've had some good seasons here and there, but they just haven't been the same team since that upset.
We'll get into Michigan in a little bit because we will be talking about Michigan. They're in the top 25. We'll be getting into them shortly, but let me give you my thoughts on this. Of course, winning the Pac-12 conference is nothing new for the Stanford football team. After all, the Cardinal has won 3 of the past 4 Pac-12 titles under David Shaw, who's entering his 6th season. But getting the preseason nod as the favorite, that's a first for this regime. Amid those expectations, Stanford opens its season against Kansas State tomorrow night at Stanford Stadium. It's hardly a slam dunk opening victory, but it does figure to be the easiest game of a brutal first half of the season for the Cardinal, which returns Heisman runner-up running back Christian McCaffrey, but is breaking in only its 3rd starting quarterback since 2009. Redshirt junior Ryan Burns, who won the job in camp, he's following in the footsteps of Andrew Luck and Kevin Hogan. But Burns, who has thrown 1 collegiate pass, is not a lock to keep the job. Sophomore Keller Christ competed well enough in camp to get a look too. Keller Christ will play as well, Shaw said. We're going to play both guys and try to win a game. There hasn't been a huge separation between the two. Both guys have played extremely well. Ryan has been enough ahead to get the nod. Kansas State, which was 6-7 last year in an injury-riddled campaign, welcomes back quarterback Jesse Ertz, who suffered a torn ACL on the team's first snap last season. Ertz, who should be active in the run game, beat out Joe Huebner and Alex Delton in fall camp to reclaim his starting job. One day you'd say this guy lit it up, and the next day it was somebody else, said Kansas State coach Bill Snyder, who has 193 wins with the Wildcats, the most of any FBS coach at his current school. It was very competitive, and Jesse pulled himself away probably in the last 4 days of being able to have greater consistency on the practice field. The Friday night will be a good spotlight for McCaffrey in advance of a full holiday weekend of great college football matchups. With 3,864 all-purpose yards last season, McCaffrey shattered the 27-year-old single-season record of 3,250 set by Oklahoma State legend Barry Sanders. McCaffrey had 2,019 rushing yards, 645 receiving yards, and he picked up the rest of his yardage on kickoff and punt returns. He's the best player in the country and will continue to challenge him, Shaw said. We know he can handle it. Stanford's bread and butter is its power running game, but the offense has ample speed in McCaffrey, backup running back Bryce Love, and receivers Michael Rector, Trent Irwin, and Francis Owusu. Love, however, is likely out this week because of an undisclosed injury, Shaw said on Monday. K-State's defense allowed 452 yards and 31.5 points a game last season when young players gained experience as injury fill-ins. A veteran coming back is senior safety Dante Barnett, who suffered a season-ending shoulder injury in the 2015 opener. And oh, by the way, this is the first ever meeting between Stanford and Kansas State. And then Stanford's got a very difficult schedule after this. After this, they got to play out of the box. Get this, guys. USC, at UCLA, at Washington, home to Washington State, and then at Notre Dame. It will not be easy for Stanford to replicate its 12-2 record of a season ago. We have a chance to be good, Shaw said. How good? You never know. So that's all I can say on that. Stanford wins this one. K-State will give them a bit of a game, but I got Stanford ultimately winning it. I'm going to say final here will be 38-24 in favor of the Cardinal. So with that being said, Michael Fletcher, who do you like with K-State and Stanford?
At first it looks like it's a tough game to call, but it's actually not. I truly believe I gotta go here and say Stanford wins. They definitely have been the more amazing team, especially in the last couple of years. And with them being up 14.5 points, plus it's at home, I can't really say much about it. So yeah, give me Stanford here to win pretty easily. I'm sorry, I kind of got like one eye on the show, and the other eye is definitely on Appalachian State and Tennessee. But But no, I got to be professional here. I'm going to be legit here as well. I got Stanford winning almost in a rout. I don't think it's going to be that close. I got them winning by at least 3 touchdowns. So, Anthony, let's go.
And now, boys, we are going to move on to the first of our many headline matchups in this opening college football weekend. Oh, boy, are we going to have some fun with this. High noon on ABC. We got the number 3 ranked Oklahoma Sooners going up against the number 15 ranked Houston Cougars. NRG Reliance Stadium in Houston, Texas, the location. Game is on ABC. And calling the game for ABC will be Dave Patch with Greg McElroy and Tom Luginbill. They will be in Houston for this game. And the spread favors the Oklahoma Sooners. 11.5 to 12 points is the spread for the Sooners. And let's dive right in to what should be an amazing matchup. A year ago, under new offensive coordinator Lincoln Riley, Oklahoma's schedule allowed them to ease into things, especially on that side of the ball. The Sooners started the season with Akron before moving on to a much more difficult task going to Tennessee in the second week. This season, there won't be a chance to steadily ramp things up as number 3 Oklahoma starts off with number 15 Houston on Saturday at NRG Stadium before playing number 6 Ohio State at home 2 weeks later. Oh boy, we can't wait to get into that one. Believe that. If you want to be the best, you have to beat the best. Sooners quarterback Dakota Austin said, if you can pop it off and just get it out of the way, you know what you'll bring to it. It's a great opportunity to show what you're worth early in the season. Once we get in conference play, we can capitalize on that. Houston, one of the top candidates outside the Power 5 to crash the playoff party after a 13-1 season, capped with a New Year's Eve destruction of Florida State, no longer looks at itself as the underdog. The Cougars view the opener as a must-win to give the January dream any prayer coming true. We've raised the bar so high in our internal expectations of the culture around here. What's the saying? We've created a monster, Herman said, and you've got to feed the monster. Oklahoma has aspirations of returning to the college football playoff where they were beaten in the semifinals by Clemson to end last season. That 37-17 loss in the Orange Bowl, the Sooners' second consecutive bowl loss to the Tigers, has been a focus for Oklahoma throughout the offseason. Losing to the same team twice, 2 years in a row, there's definitely a chip on our shoulder, Austin said. We know how far we can go. We know how close we have gotten by not even playing our best. We're really focused on that this offseason, and I feel like we'll have a way better team this year. In order for that to be a possibility, Oklahoma needs a strong start. Riley's task figures to be easier, having figured out how to utilize running back Samaje Perine and Joe Mixon into his wide-open offense, and with quarterback Baker Mayfield and his 2 tackles on the offensive line returning, Perine, a junior, needs just 1,057 yards to become Oklahoma's all-time leading rusher, passing Billy Sims. But Riley is guarding against complacency. You can't feel comfortable here, Riley said. If I feel comfortable, I'd be selling my house here in a year. You don't feel comfortable at this place. That's how you want it, though. That's what I want. I want a place where you expect to win. Last year's over. None of that matters. We have to go win games this year. We have one of the toughest schedules in the country that we have to get ready to go attack. Sooners coach Bob Stoops said that while his players might use last year as motivation, it's not something he considers. I don't tie years together. I never have, Stoops said. If they were living off the past, they sure got woke up in the Orange Bowl. That was all over on that night. Point being, years in my mind don't tie together. You have new people, new guys in new positions, different schedule. It's a whole new thing. Oklahoma leads the series with Houston 2-0, winning the last meeting 63-13 in Norman in 2004. The other meeting came in the 1981 Sun Bowl, which the Sooners also won 40-14. I'm going to tell you right now, there's no way this game is going to be a rout. Houston's going to give them a hell of a game. I really do. I think this is going to be one of the games of the week, no question about it. I've got this as a high-scoring affair. The points are going to be aplenty in this one. But if you're going to twist my arm and say who you got in this one, no question about it. I have Oklahoma in this one. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Houston were to somehow pull an upset here. But at the end of the day, I have to go with the Oklahoma Sooners behind Baker Mayfield and Perine and Mixon and those guys. So I'm going to go with the Oklahoma Sooners to win this one. This is going to be a high-scoring affair. I say Oklahoma wins it. Final score for me, I'm going to go 51 to 41 is going to be my final score. 51-41. Oklahoma beats Houston at NRG/Reliant Stadium in Houston. I see we've lost Michael Fletcher. I don't know what happened. Hopefully he'll be back in due time. But for right now, I've got Michael Bullock here, so we're just gonna throw it to him. Bullock, the first of our many headline matchups this week. Oklahoma against Houston. Your thoughts on this first big one here?
Boy, all I can say is if you like offense, this is the game here for you. I mean, I think we're definitely going to see a lot of offense here. Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma, of course, like I said, with Baker Mayfield, Samaje Perine, and Joe Mixon, that offense is definitely going to be on all cylinders here. And for Houston, I mean, yeah, they could. I mean, Houston. I mean, they got some offense as well. I mean, of course. They had a pretty good season last year themselves with a 13-1 record, and of course they beat Florida State on New Year's Eve. So yeah, so definitely this is a team that nobody should sleep on, and like you said, I mean, Oklahoma, though, they lead the series against Houston 2-0, and they won the last meeting against them 63-13 in 2004, and then the other meeting came back in 1981 in the Sun Bowl, which the Sooners won 40-14. So I expect nothing different about this one, but Houston's definitely going to give this Oklahoma team some fits. But in the end, Oklahoma, I think, is going to pull this one out. I'm going to say 51-44 is going to be my final score when it comes to this. So we got Fletcher back. So I think we should give him his thoughts on this match. So Fletch, if you're back, you give us your thoughts.
Oklahoma, number 3 Oklahoma.
Oklahoma and Houston.
Yes, number 3 Oklahoma, number 15 Houston at NRG Reliant Stadium. Your thoughts on this first big one here?
It is the first big one. I'm sorry, guys. I heard what Michael Bullock says. I completely disagree with you wholeheartedly on this one. I don't think Houston has a hope or a prayer in this game. I'm sorry. Oklahoma's going in as a 12-point favorite. They've led the series. Basically, they lead the series 2-0, and their last time that they faced each other was in 2004, and it was a 63-13 shellacking in Norman, Oklahoma. So I'm sorry, when you got a team like Oklahoma, who's probably going to be the favorite to make it into the playoff, the college football playoff, and possibly they got a guy in Landry that could be possibly the a Heisman Trophy candidate. I'm sorry, I disagree with you, Michael Bullock. I don't even see this even being close. I think Oklahoma is going to rout Houston, blow them out, and I think it's going to be at least a 4 to 5 touchdown victory for the Sooners. Boomer Sooner, that's who I got. Florio, it's yours.
Okay. Let's all right, how do we follow that? Well,
and breaking news, Tennessee has survived.
There you go.
They win 20-13 in overtime.
All right, lightning does not strike twice in that one. So no Appalachian State upset here. Tennessee survives indeed, and we'll talk more about Tennessee next week when we see them in action. But yeah, they survive at Neyland Stadium. I mean, that would have been a very disappointing way to start off what is a promising year for that camp, for that program. Let me tell you. All right, I think now we're back into the Dud enhancement game mode here, because next up we're gonna move on another noon game. This is on the Big Ten Network. We got the number 6 ranked, cover your ears, fellas, the Ohio State University Buckeyes. They're gonna be hosting the Bowling Green Falcons at Ohio Stadium, the Horseshoe in Columbus. Big Ten Network is where you can find this game, and And calling the game for the Big Ten Network, it will be Kevin Kugler with Matt Millen and Lisa Byington. They will be they'll be at the Horseshoe. And the spread for this, of course, Ohio State's the favorite. And yes, they're a sizable favorite. Ohio State is favored by 28.5 points in this one. And we're gonna start the prediction. We're gonna start the preview here with Michael Fletcher. And Michael Fletcher, we already know who's gonna win this game, but just elaborate if you would.
Gee, Florio, way to be a homer there. The Ohio State, you put so much oomph on showing the love for Ohio State. Come on, give me a break. Ohio State's gonna win the game. Yeah, they look really, really good. You got JT Barrett. You got a really good quarterback there. Urban Meyer, the whole defensive team. They are absolutely a remarkable team. And they, top to bottom, they're going to be really dangerous, really strong this season. There's no doubt about that. Ohio State wins. They win it going away. Nothing more to say. Bullock, it's yours.
What was the game we were talking about?
Bowling Green and Ohio State.
Yeah. Let's just make it short and sweet. Ohio State's gonna win this one. No problem with that. So really got nothing more to say. Let's just move on.
And I'm gonna throw it away here. I'm gonna finish it off. Ohio State wins this one. They're gonna win this one going away. I agree with that. We're not gonna do a score. We don't do an on-done enhancement games. We only give scores on those competitive games. And don't worry, we'll get back to those soon enough. Because unfortunately we do have 2 more done enhancement games coming up. And well, you can uncover your ears now, fellas, because the next team we're going to talk about is your Michigan Wolverines. Yes, your number 7 ranked. Yes, I said it. 7th ranked Michigan Wolverines. They're going to be in the Big House, and they're going to be hosting the Rainbow Warriors of Hawaii. This game will be at high noon. This will be on ESPN. And calling the game for ESPN will be none other than, let me look up my notes here, Mr. Holy Cow himself, the legendary Mike Patrick, along with Ed Cunningham and Dr. Jerry Punch. They will be in the Big House for this one. And do you remember earlier when I said about the big favorite of the week? I said that there was one team out there that was the well, keep in mind, there were a couple of spreads that I did not have. That was the Baylor spread and the Michigan State spread. But out of all the spreads that I did have, Michael Bullock and Michael Fletcher, you're going to be very delighted when I tell you Michigan is the biggest favorite of the week. How do you like that? They are the biggest favorite of the week. How big? Get ready for this. Michigan is favored to beat Hawaii on Saturday by a margin of, get this, 40 to 40.5. Michael Bullock, how do you follow that?
Whew. I don't know how the heck do you follow that, but I'm gonna try my best. But yeah, there is no doubt about it with this one. Michigan's gonna win this one. They're gonna win this one big. They're definitely gonna be in contention for a Big Ten title. So I got nothing more to say. Michigan's gonna win in a blowout, big time. Florio, it is yours.
Oh yeah, Michigan all the way. I mean, I don't know the words to the fight song. I mean, I know Michael Fletcher knows the fight song by heart, and I know he's probably gonna wax poetic on that when we get to him. But oh yeah, very high expectations for the Michigan Wolverines this year. I mean, they came out of nowhere last year. I mean, we thought they were going to be a middle of the road team, but boy, howdy, they really surprised us last year. And yeah, I mean, if a couple of breaks had gone their way, then we probably would have been talking about them in the playoff maybe. But unfortunately, a couple of breaks went against them, especially the Michigan State game last year, with the craziest ending you will ever see in the history of the sport. But You don't have to worry about that here because Michigan's going to roll over Hawaii. They're gonna send those Rainbow Warriors packing back to Aloha Stadium. That's all there is to say about that. I mean, 40-40.5, the biggest favorite of the week, if you can believe that. I mean, when I did I did that research earlier, and I'm like, oh boy, when I tell Bullock and Fletcher this, they're gonna be going crazy. They're gonna be marking out like crazy men. So that's all there is to say about it. Michigan's gonna roll. That's all there is to say about that. So I don't know what else there is to say. Let's throw it up to the biggest Michigan fan of them all, the one and only Michael Fletcher. I mean, Fletch, when you hear that your team is the biggest favorite of the week, I can't imagine you couldn't be any more delighted about that.
Yes, it is very delightful to hear that you are the biggest favorites of the week, but it's also a very dangerous situation as well because remember, like you said, Michigan was a major favorite against Appalachia State, and look what happened. So this has, if I'm Michigan, and I know Jim Harbaugh will have his boys ready to go, ready for war, ready for anything, but I do not want this team to get complacent at all. Yes, this is a big game. Yes, it's in the big house. You're going to have over 109,000 in the house. Rooting for you, cheering you on, because the expectations are so high this season for Michigan. I mean, there's a mission statement that you got to lay down this season. 1, beat Michigan State. 2, beat the doors off Ohio State. 3, win the Big Ten title, and 4, win the national championship. So that's basically the mission statement. You get all 4, it's a great year. But the 2 games that you want to win more than anything else, you want to beat Michigan State and you want to beat Ohio State. Those are the 2 rival games you got to win, or else you're going to have Michael Bullock and myself very grumpy, ticked off young men, and you don't like that. It's one thing when you get a cerebral viper really angry, but as you could tell in the past, man, the Phenom knows how to blow up and go absolutely ballistic when Michigan loses. I mean, so I'm telling you right now, you don't get complacent. Don't do your job. Do what you got to do. Finish what you have to do. You're the favorites in this game. Just play like the favorites and win. That's all I'm going to say about that. But I do think Michigan will do it. They're going to get the job done. Normally when they play these not so meaningful games or a team that is far less superior than them, then they handle their job. But that's all that I would be a little worried about. But that's all I would say about it. Don't get overconfident. Do your job. Do your work. Just like the Patriot motto. I can't believe I just muttered that crap, but I did. But do your job. Get the job done. Go Michigan. Hail to the fighting victors. Hail to the conquering heroes. The champions of the West. Let's go Michigan. All the way, boys. Let's do it. Florio, it's yours.
Remind me to break out the Notre Dame fight song later on. So, well, the word for word that is.
We'll get there later tonight, later in the evening. You'll get to do it.
Oh, believe me, I will. You better believe it. So, all right. Now we move on to yet another dud enhancement game here. 2 o'clock kickoff. This will be on the Pac-12 network. We got the number 14 ranked Washington Huskies playing at, I like this stadium name. Listen to this stadium name. This is a beauty. Alaska Airlines Field at Husky Stadium. Oh, yeah, I like that name. That's pretty cool. They're going to be going up against the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers out of the Big Ten. This game will be on the Pac-12 network, 2 o'clock kickoff. And calling this game for them will be, let me check my notes here. Oh, yes, we have Roxy Bernstein with Anthony Herron and Lewis Johnson. They're going to be on the call from the Alaska Airlines field at Husky Stadium. And the spread favors the Washington Huskies 26.5 to 27 points. That is the spread for that. I mean, there's really nothing left for me to say here except I got Washington going away. I mean, speaking of teams with high expectations, how about the Washington Huskies? I mean, they're 14th ranked. I mean, it's an off season of high expectations, and they'll be playing their first game under their head coach Chris Ash and Jake Browning. They're going to have their starting quarterback, Jake Browning. I expect him to have a big time match. I expect him to have a big game, as well as their sophomore running back, Myles Gaskin. And I think between those two guys, they should have. But don't get me wrong. Rutgers does have two first team All Pac-12. Washington, and of course, Washington also has that great defense with junior safety Buda Baker and junior quarterback Sidney Jones, who led the conference last year with 14 pass breakups with 4 interceptions and 3 forced fumbles. And Washington only allowed 11 touchdown passes all year, lowest figure in the Pac-12. And then you also have their linebacker Asim Victor and 300-pound plus defensive lineman Elijah Qualls in great gains. And you can see why Washington is a preseason top 15 team after going 7-6 last year. And Rutgers, of course, coming off a 4-8 campaign under their head coach Kyle Flood. Well, the floodgates are going to open for Washington, if I'm going to be real honest. So I got Washington going away. There's nothing left for me to say. That defense will fluster Rutgers, and the offense with Browning and Gaskin, they should have big-time games. I really feel that. So Washington in a rout. So, Michael Fletcher, your thoughts on Rutgers and Washington?
I agree with you, Anthony. You know what? I gotta say, you have a few names that you really like, and normally I win it. I'm not really a guy who goes into the favorite names because they're cool, but Buda Baker, dude, oh my God. I hope that's actually his name for Washington, Buda Baker, because if that's the name, I might be liking Washington a lot more this upcoming season and get to talk about that name. I hope they're still in the top 25, but I think they will. They're going to win this game. There's no doubt about it. I'm not going to go too much into this, but definitely Washington's going to be rubbing the Buddha, if you know what I mean. Michael Pollock gets yours. I'm sorry, guys. I couldn't help myself.
Oh man, I don't know how do I follow something like that. Oh man, oh man. Yeah, I got Washington winning this one, no problem here. So I'm not gonna get any further details on it. Flory, what's yours?
Oh, Michael Fletcher's been on fire this week, friends. Let me tell you. I mean, if you missed Ridiculously Raw on Monday night, I mean, he broke out the Animaniacs Hello Nurse, for goodness sakes. I mean, with the whole Dana Brooks situation. I mean, my goodness. I mean, I couldn't believe that. And now Buda Baker. I mean, yeah, I like that name too. That's pretty cool. And it's the same way I feel about TNA wrestler Basil Baraka. You know how much I love that name from the Tribunal. So, if we're going to talk about favorite names, but that's a story for another day. Right now, let's continue on here. And now we're going to get into a meaningful game here, boys. Oh boy, we're going to have some fun with this one. 3:30 kickoff on ABC from the not yet frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. It's going to be the number 5 ranked LSU Tigers going up against the Wisconsin Badgers. This game will be at 3:30 on ABC, and calling the game for ABC will be none other than Steve Levy. Steve Levy will be there with Brian Greasy and Todd McShay. They will be at Lambeau in Green Bay, this neutral site game. And LSU, the favorite in this game, they are favorited by 10.5 to 11.5. It's LSU's favor, and I believe Michael Fletcher gets to start off this big time matchup. So Fletch, LSU, Wisconsin, Lambeau Field, the setting. Oh boy, what a game this should be! Another one of our headline matchups.
One of the headline matchups, and normally in this situation, this is where you normally would probably favor the home team, Wisconsin. Not only that, but they had the number 1 defense in all of college football in the FBS and FCS last season, as they only gave up 13.7 points per game, only averaging about 14, holding holding offenses to a mere 14 points per game. Last year, they were the number one defense in all of college football. However, LSU has some guy that's kind of a pretty good running back named, I don't know, Leonard Fournette, who's now a senior, who's now possibly basically the number one guy in all of college football, front runner to possibly win the Heisman Trophy, and also could be the number one overall pick in the upcoming NFL draft in 2017. So, I mean, this is going to be a great running back versus a ferocious defense. Who's going to win out? I got to go with LSU. I think this is going to be a really close game. For the first time, I'll actually get to put a score on this one. This is going to be, I believe, a 35-24 affair, and I have LSU walking out of Lambeau Field with a huge victory. Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Bullock, you with us? Bullock? All right. I guess I'm going to have to take it here. LSU and Wisconsin. I mean, this is definitely one of my games of the week, no doubt about it. I mean, this is a game I'm very much looking forward to. The first indication of what kind of impact new LSU defensive coordinator Dave Aranda is having will come against his former team. Aranda joined the Tigers in the offseason after an impressive 3-year stint as the Badgers defensive coordinator. Aranda's old team and his new team opened the season Saturday at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. LSU head coach Les Miles brought in Aranda to replace Kevin Steele 1 year after he brought in Steele to replace John Chavis as the Tigers try to regain the elite defense that they had at the start of this decade. Last season under Aranda, Wisconsin had the number one scoring defense in the country, allowing about 14 points a game, and the number 2 total defense, allowing about 269 yards a game. LSU ranked 41st in scoring defense, 24.3, and 25th in total defense, 347.2. Dave Aranda has done a very nice job with the defense, Miles said, playing a real physical style, fast, speed to the ball, performing extremely well during scrimmages. So it was extremely difficult for us to move the football. I know he cares very much for the place he used to work and the lineup against them and players he's coached. I'm not speaking for him, but I know that he respects Wisconsin extremely well. Aranda might not need the Tigers to duplicate the Badgers' lofty rankings in order to contend for a spot in the college football playoff. With junior Leonard Fournette coming off the most productive rushing season in SEC history, the LSU offense should put up big numbers that won't require the defense to be overly stingy. The Tigers have had to do some juggling on their offensive line due to injury. They should have their 5 starters available, but exactly how they line up could be a work in progress. In the first few games, as LSU didn't have as much time to test various combinations during the preseason as they would have preferred. LSU is hopeful that junior quarterback Brandon Harris has matured sufficiently to provide better offensive balance and make things a little easier for Fournette. Our offense has got a veteran signal caller now, more poised and ready for situation, Miles said. We will have maybe the finest tailback group that I've been around with Leonard Fournette and Darius Geis, Darrell Williams, and just a number of guys that can really run the football. I like the offense and the way they've come. I think balance is a way to remove people from the box and allow us bigger plays. So if we can do the job that we have planned to do throwing the football, then I think you will find that there will be less people in the box and then maybe more productivity out of less carries. Fournette launches his Heisman Trophy campaign on national television against the team that had the 4th best run defense in the country last season. LSU already was hoping to lessen Fournette's workload a bit before he was slowed by a sprained ankle toward the end of preseason camp. He had 300 carries in 12 games last season. The Badgers have their own quarterback questions entering Saturday with Bart Houston winning the starting job just 10 days before the opener. Houston, named after former Packers great and Hall of Fame quarterback Bart Starr, is living a dream by taking snaps at the hallowed home of his favorite NFL team. But LSU's defense brings nightmare potential. NFLDraftScout.com ranked LSU as the number 2 program in terms of draft potential of the current roster, and speed is everywhere on this Tigers defense. The new 3-4 defense LSU employs is strongest up the middle, where inside linebacker Kendall Beckwith has All-America potential. Wisconsin wants to win on the ground. Running back Corey Clement is the bell cow back after a hernia injury knocked him out last season, when the Badgers were far below their own lofty standard in the running game. Wisconsin averaged 150.3 yards rushing a game last season, the worst single-season total since the 1995 team averaged 128.9. Since 2007, the Badgers averaged at least 200.8 yards per game for 8 straight seasons. In 2014, Wisconsin averaged 320.1 yards rushing a game. The Badgers trailed the all-time series 3-0, but are no stranger to deadly competition in kickoff games. There's also a rough road ahead, with Michigan, Michigan State, and Ohio State all ranked in the preseason top 12, all on the Wisconsin schedule for the first time since 2010. So with that being said, I got to go with LSU. I like them to win in this one. I think it should be a fairly decent scoring game. I say they win this one. I'm going to go maybe 31-24 LSU over Wisconsin at Lambeau Field. Should be a great game. Michael Bullock, I don't know if you're with us. I don't know if you're back with us. If you are, your thoughts on LSU and Wisconsin, or if you're still out, then we'll just move on to our next game. Bullock, you with us? I am guessing not. So, all right. With that said, let's just move on to our next game here on our schedule, and it's another one of our headline matchups. The season premiere of the SEC on CBS, as we are going to see the number 16 ranked UCLA Bruins going up against the Texas A&M Aggies. This game will be at Kyle Field in College Station, Texas. This game, of course, the season premiere of the SEC on CBS, and if it's the SEC on CBS, you know who's calling this game. For the final season, the legendary Vern Lundquist, along with Gary Danielson and Allie LaForce, they will be at Kyle Field in Texas A&M. And believe it or not, Texas A&M is the favorite in this game. Texas A&M is favored by 3 to 3.5. This might be the closest spread of the week right here. So let me just start it off. Quarterbacks take center stage when number 16 UCLA and Texas A&M meet Saturday in College Station, Texas. UCLA, the Pac-12 media's pick to win the league South Division, as well as my pick, is led by sophomore Josh Rosen, whose blend of size, arm strength, and football IQ is reminiscent of a young Andrew Luck at Stanford. He completed 60% of his passes for 3,670 yards with 23 touchdowns and 11 interceptions as a freshman last season. Texas A&M, after losing Kyle Allen and Kyler Murray to transfers after last season, rearmed with Oklahoma graduate transfer Trevor Knight, who will try to be a one-year savior. Knight lost his Sooner starting job to Baker Mayfield last season, but has passed for 3,424 career yards and helped Oklahoma upset Alabama in the 2014 Sugar Bowl. Aggies coach Kevin Sumlin said Knight made a seamless transition into the team. That's a special skill set for guys to come in and do that. Created friendships in a short period of time with guys in his room, Sumlin said Tuesday. That really helped his growth and helped the team's growth and the offense's growth. Wouldn't say that was a surprise, but it was just an added benefit he brought. Even though Texas A&M is unranked, it is a slight favorite to win the game, perhaps owing to its home field advantage and crowd in excess of 100,000. Defensive end Myles Garrett might have something to do with it too. Garrett, a potential number 1 pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, had 12.5 sacks last season. He'll be hunting Rosen's blind side. If he can get past senior left tackle Connor McDermott, a projected 2nd or 3rd round pick according to NFLDraftScout.com. We'll put a tight end on that side at times, and we'll use our backs to chip him at times, UCLA coach Jim Mora told the LA Daily News. And there will also be times when Connor just has to take him on and get the job done. That's what football is all about. Another subplot is that Texas A&M's new offensive coordinator, Noel Mazzoni, spent the past 4 seasons with UCLA. Someone said any edge goes to the Bruins. If anything, Jim Mora has familiarity with Noel. Someone said, if there's any advantage, I would give it to UCLA. There's a new coordinator at UCLA, Kennedy Palomalu, and we don't have anything on him. I don't think that's going to have any bearing. Mazzoni gets the game plan with one of the best receiving corps in the nation, led by sophomore Christian Kirk, who caught 80 passes for 1,009 yards and 7 touchdowns as a freshman. Ricky Seals-Jones and Josh Reynolds are experienced tall targets. UCLA doesn't have that kind of depth at wideout for Rosen, although senior Ishmael Adams switched from all Pac-12 cornerback to full-time receiver could pay dividends. He has shown his game-breaking ability with the ball in his hands. He has 3 interception returns for touchdowns as well as a kick return to score. The game marks the return of UCLA defensive tackle Eddie Vanderdoes, a run-stuffing pro prospect who suffered a torn ACL in last season's opener. UCLA and Texas A&M split 4 games, the last coming in the 1998 Cotton Bowl, a 29-23 victory for the Bruins. This is UCLA's first trip to College Station. And it should be a fun one, too. So, even though Texas A&M is a slight favorite, I have to go with UCLA. I just think Rosen is going to be the difference. Trevor Knight should have a solid game as well. But at the end of the day, though, this is going to be another one of my high-scoring games of the week. I got UCLA winning this one. I say final here. I'm going to go 41-38 UCLA over Texas A&M. Should be a 5-star classic. This is one of my games of the week for sure. So give me UCLA 41-38. Michael Fletcher, your thoughts on this unbelievable SEC on CBS season premiere?
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting matchup. There's no doubt about it. This is going to be a great game. 2 teams that really has high expectations. But the thing is that Texas A&M has won their first 5 their first 5 games each of their last 2 seasons. But this time around, they have a major test on their hands to go up against UCLA. I remember, Anthony, you say you were very high on UCLA last week when we were doing the preview for it. So, we'll wait and see what happens. I truly believe it's going to be a great matchup. But at the end of the day, it's going to be one of those battles that you never know how it's going to play or what's going to come out of this. But I'm going to go with UCLA as well. I think it's going to be a really close game. I agree with you. Even the spread itself made it relatively so. It's only a 3.5-point spread. So I'm thinking this could be like a 28-24 affair, but I would give UCLA the dupe. I think they're going to win it. Hard for a matchup, really close to the wire, but I think UCLA will pull it out and get the big victory. So with that said, Anthony, let's move on.
I don't know what happened to Michael Bullock. He was with us a little bit ago. I don't know if he went down. Maybe that's the only thing I could think of.
Probably that, because it's been a long day.
Yeah. Okay, I could certainly understand that. So, all right. Let's get back into our next game, and I believe we're back in dud enhancement territory for the next few games here. Next game we're going to get into will be on ESPN University. This game will be a 3:30 kickoff. We got the number 17 ranked Iowa Hawkeyes at home at Kinnick Stadium. They're going to be going up against the Red Hawks of Miami of Ohio. ESPN University is the home for this one. And calling the game for them, I don't believe I have. Oh, okay. I stand corrected. I do have it. Eamon McEnany and John Konjimi, they will be at Kinnick Stadium in Iowa for this one. And Iowa, big-time favorite, 27.5 to 28-point favorites. So, Michael Fletcher, we all know Iowa was one of the surprise teams last year. They came out of nowhere. They had a big year last year. And I'm pretty sure they're gonna start off this campaign with an easy win, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, this should be a pretty easy win. Miami of Ohio is not really a major threat at all. I think what's going to happen here is going to be Iowa. And the thing was, the reason why Iowa did so great last season, and I'm going to be real honest with you, is because they really had such an easy schedule last season. And, it looks like they're going to have another easy one again. They don't have to deal with the big powerhouses like they've done in recent years. They don't have to deal with Ohio State. They don't have to deal with Michigan State. The only team that actually they're gonna have to deal with that's gonna be a major threat for them is gonna be Michigan. You got a game against Wisconsin there, but you really got the bottom feeders here. You got to play Miami of Ohio, Iowa State, North Dakota State. Then you got Rutgers. You got Northwestern. Um, I mean, there's really not much here. So, I mean, whatever the case may be, whatever it is, it is. So Iowa should win this game. They're gonna want to bounce back, especially after getting humiliated in the Rose Bowl last year, 45-16. They're gonna look to try to get a big win here to get on the right foot. Again, another easy schedule. So Iowa should win this pretty easily. Floyo, it's yours.
Yeah, I got Iowa winning this as well. I mean, they're one of the favorites in the Big Ten West. We already know that. The outlook has changed considerably after finishing in the top 10 last year. The Hawkeyes realized that much is expected by their fans, and opponents no longer will underestimate them. They've got 7 starters returning on each side of the ball, led on defense by their All-American cornerback Desmond King, and on offense, their senior quarterback C.J. Beathard. And there's really nothing left for me to say here except Beathard should have a big game for the offense. King and that defense should have no trouble with Miami of Ohio whatsoever. 27.5 to 28-point favorites are the Hawkeyes. Hawkeyes should roll very easily in this one. So I definitely agree with that, Fletch. I got Iowa winning big as well. All right. We have one more 3:30 kickoff here. And yet unfortunately, it is another dart enhancement game. This will be on Fox Sports Net or wherever it is. We got the number 21 ranked Oklahoma State Cowboys at home at Boone Pickens Stadium in Stillwater. They're going to be hosting the Southeastern Louisiana Lions. This game, like I said, on the FSN. And bear with me for a moment as I try to find who our announcers for this game will be. Looking forward here. Okay, I got it. It will be Brendan Burke with Brian Baldinger and Christian Steckel. They will be on the call for this game in Stillwater. FSN, MSG Plus, so wherever you are, check your local listings if you're interested in this game, even though I really don't have any interest whatsoever. I don't believe I have a spread for this game. Unfortunately, I don't think I have a spread for this game, but I would imagine Oklahoma State's got to be a pretty sizable favorite here. So, there's really nothing left for me to say here except but here's the thing. Oklahoma State has won 20 consecutive home openers and have never lost to an FCS opponent in 10 opportunities under their head coach, Mike Gundy. They've won 7 of their last 8 season openers and 46 of its last 51 over unranked opponents. How about that, huh? So Mason Rudolph should have a huge game, no question about it. Marcel Adderman will be back on the receiving corps, and along with James Washington, those young men should have huge games as well. And from the receiving standpoint, and then on the running game, you have Justice Hill, and yes, Barry Sanders Jr., the legendary Barry Sanders' son. He made the transfer from Stanford. That's all there is to say on this. So Oklahoma State should win in a laugher with Rudolph, Washington, Adderman, and of course Barry Sanders Jr. And if he is as any good as his daddy was, skies could be the limit for Oklahoma State. So what a way to honor your daddy's legendary college football career. And I do mean legendary. So that being said, Oklahoma State in a rout. So Fletch, Southeastern Louisiana, no chance against Oklahoma State in Stillwater, I'm sure. Fletch, your thoughts on Oklahoma State and Southeast Louisiana here?
No, I gotta go with Oklahoma State. There's really nothing more. I'm not really gonna take too much of your time here, guys. Oklahoma State should easily win this game going away. Nothing more to say, Floyer. Let's just move on to the next game.
And now we're going to move on to a rarity, a rare 5 o'clock kickoff. Yeah, 5 o'clock kickoff. Yeah, here on the East Coast. This game will be on the Pac-12 network. Unfortunately, it's another Dun enhancement game. We got the number 24 ranked Oregon Ducks at home in Eugene at Autzen Stadium. They're going to be hosting the Aggies of UC Davis. This game will be on the Pac-12 network, like I said. And calling this game, unfortunately, I don't have an announced crew, but that's okay. Hopefully, this will be the only game where I don't have an announced, where I won't have an announced crew, but we'll see. But it's on the Pac-12 network, so check it out. For those of you who do have it, you'll know who it is when you get it. So, and Oregon, I do believe Oregon is, well, unfortunately, I don't have a spread for this game either, but you would have to imagine Oregon has got to be a very sizable favorite. So, all right, Fletch. Oregon, as we all know, our good friend Eric Carrier is a big Oregon Ducks fan, and I'm sure that this 2016 campaign will get off on the right foot. I'm sure.
Oh, no doubt about it. I truly believe that Oregon will definitely have an easy time with this one. UC Davis is not even a major threat at all. This is just one of those where there's just a minor stepping stone. You can just have an easy battle and deal with whatever you got to deal with. So no, I agree with you. Oregon should win this one going away. So Florio, I give it to you.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Fletch. No doubt about it. I got Oregon winning this one. I got them winning this one going away as well. Quarterback Dakota Prukop is new to Oregon and new to the football subdivision, but he's familiar with the Ducks' opening opponent in UC Davis. And, he's going to get another shot at them at Autzen Stadium on Saturday. He's a dual-threat quarterback, and we'll see what he has. He's going to have, of course, Darren Carrington back, who was doing very well until he had to serve a 6-game suspension, but he's back. Dwayne Stanford's going to be coming back. Charles Nelson, Pharaoh Brown, and of course their always strong ground game returns its top 4 rushers, led by, of course, Royce Freeman, the all-conference pick who ran for 1,836 yards and 17 scores last season. Only FBS player to have at least 100 yards from scrimmage in each and every game last season. So keep that in mind. So with that being said, Oregon's going to win this thing going away. I agree with that 100%. So with that being said, let's move on to our next game. And now we're going to get back into the headline games here once again. We're going to have some fun with this one. From the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, 5:30 kickoff on ESPN. The number 18th ranked Maiden Georgia Bulldogs. They're going to be going up against the number 22 ranked North Carolina Tar Heels. And this game will be, of course, like I said, at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. Calling this game for ESPN will be none other than Bob Wischusen, along with Brock Heward and Allison Williams. They will be on the call in the Georgia Dome. And Georgia is the favorite. And actually, I believe this is actually the closest spread of the week. Georgia is favored by only 2.5 to 3 points. That's it. And I believe I start this one off. And, oh, boy, what a game this is going to be. This is another one of my headline games of the week. This is another game that you definitely want to invest some time into. If North Carolina was hoping to get some indication of how much its run defense may have improved since the late season collapse a year ago, the Tar Heels couldn't have asked for any better measure than what they figured to get when they take on Georgia Saturday in the Chick-fil-A kickoff game in the Georgia Dome. Coach Kirby Smart has pronounced the 18th ranked Bulldogs star running back Nick Chubb recovered from the knee injury that sidelined him at midseason last year and ready for the opener against the number 22 Tar Heels. We feel good about Nick, Smart said. He feels great, is ready to go. He won't be on a pitch count by any means. Chubb has rushed for nearly 2,300 yards in just 14 career starts over the last 2 seasons and will be an immediate challenge for North Carolina. The Tar Heels defense gave up 319 yards on the ground in their loss to Clemson in the ACC title game and a whopping 645 to Baylor in their bowl loss. I definitely think that's something that teams are going to test us on because of how we played in the Baylor game and some of the games we had last year where running backs were able to get leaky yardage. Junior linebacker Cason Collins said, leaky yardage being defensive coordinator Gene Chiswick's term for yards after contact. We had that a lot last year, so that's something we want to cut back on. North Carolina will be starting a new quarterback when junior Mitch Trubisky takes over from Marquise Williams after serving as Williams' backup the last 2 years. But Georgia's Kirby Smart is playing it coy when it comes to who will start for the Bulldogs at the position. Senior Grayson Lambert, who started off and on last season, and highly touted freshman quarterback Jacob Eason are the two leading candidates. Media reports indicate Eason is the favorite, but Smart said no decision has been made. No starter has been named. Smart told reporters, we'll continue to practice guys and get those guys ready, and when it does, we'll let you guys know. Lambert threw 12 interceptions with two interceptions last season, but struggled against quality competition. The Georgia faithful are eager to see Eason, who was one of the top pro-style quarterback recruits in the 2016 recruiting class. But at least early in the week, Smart is playing it close to the best. We're going to see how it goes, Smart said. First thing we have to do is figure out who's taking the first snap before we worry about the next guy coming in. I think it'll reveal itself the next couple of days. Continue getting those guys reps and get both of them ready to play. That's the plan. So, with all that being said, this is definitely one of my games of the week, like I said, but it is a little bit tough to call because, North Carolina had a great year last year. That's another one of those teams that came out of nowhere. But, of course, they got stomped by Clemson in the ACC championship game and then lost that bowl game to Baylor. Georgia, they got something to prove. So there's nothing left for me to say here except based on Nick Chubb and I ultimately think it should be Grayson Lambert who gets the start. But if they go with Eason, I don't know much about the Eason kid, but if Eason does get the start, I'll be anxious to see how he does. But nonetheless, I'm going to take a chance here, and I'm going to go with Georgia to win this game. I think it's going to be one of the high-scoring games of the week, no question about it. 37-34, that's my final. I got Georgia winning it. Besides, it's in the Georgia Dome anyway, so because of that, you got to go with Georgia. So with that being said, Michael Fletcher, Georgia, North Carolina, another one of our games of the week in the Georgia Dome, one of our favorite facilities. Your thoughts on this big one?
Yeah, no, this is going to be a great game. This is going to be a great battle. Very exciting to say the very least. It's going to be a war, guys. We're going to have a lot of fun with this one. But, Anthony, you said it. Made in Georgia Bulldogs, probably definitely the favorite going. Well, they are definitely going to be one of those teams that you got to kind of keep your eyes out on. Could they make a big run? I think they could definitely be a threat to make it to the SEC championship game again. But as far as going up against a really good team against North Carolina, normally, any other time you would say this is kind of going to be a little bit of an interesting matchup, even though I kind of feel this is an unfair because technically North Carolina is actually pinned as the home team and not Georgia. Because it's in the Georgia Dome, it feels like a home game for Georgia. So with that said, yeah, I gotta say Georgia is probably going to win it. My final score is 35-31. And Anthony, let's move on to the next game.
And you're going to be starting it off, Michael Fletcher. It's a 7:30. We're going to move on to our nighttime games, our primetime games. 7:30 kickoff on the SEC network. We got the number 25 ranked Florida Gators at home against the UMass Minutemen. And this game will be at Florida Field at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium in Gainesville, Florida. SEC network is where you can find it. And calling this game for them on the SEC network will be Tom Hart with Andre Ware and Cole Kubelik. They will be on the call for this game. And Florida, another one of the big favorites of the week. I think this is the second biggest spread that I've seen. Florida is a 36 to 36.5 point favorite to beat UMass on their home field of Ben Hill Griffin Stadium in Gainesville. So, Fletch, I think we all know where this is going. UMass in Florida. Your thoughts on it anyway?
Yeah, UMass was so bad they didn't even win a conference game a year ago. I think they were like 1-10, 1-11 overall in the college football. Yeah, no, this is going to be a train wreck and a half. The Florida Gators in the swamp, they're going to be chomping on some Minutemen, most definitely. That's my call, Anthony. There's no need for anything else. Let's just move on to the next one. Just give me a little bit of schematics, but I think we know where this is going to end up.
Oh, of course. I mean, I got Florida winning too. I mean, yeah. I mean, Jim McElwain and his Florida Gators coming off of and they're heavy favorites. Let's not kid ourselves. I mean, since UMass made the move from the FCS to the FBS 5 years ago, over the last 2 years, they're 6-18. That's bad. And Gators have Luke Del Rio. We're going to be seeing him. He beat out Purdue transfer Austin Appleby with the offense, and he is the son of Oakland Raiders head coach Jack Del Rio. So that's pressure right there. His first college start, and I mean, I do have to correct you, Michael Fletcher. UMass was actually 3-9 last year, and the year before that. So that's where the 6-18 comes into play. Back-to-back 3-9 campaigns for the Minutemen, and yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about it. And of course, they also hired Steve Spurrier as an ambassador to the UF. As an ambassador, I guess, and we all know that. And yeah, Steve Spurrier is going to be at that game. They're going to be renaming the field for Steve Spurrier. So I don't think it's going to be Ben Hill Griffin Stadium anymore. I think it's going to be more like Steve Spurrier Field or Steve Spurrier Stadium, and rightfully so after what Steve Spurrier did. 6 SEC championships and their first national title in school history from his tenure there, and from 1990 to 2002. So that's all there is to say on that one. So, yeah, UMass should Florida should win this one going away. So, all right. Oh, boy. Now we're going to really have some fun here. You can make the argument that this is the game of the week right here. I don't care what anybody says. In my honest opinion, this, to me, is the game of the week right here. The Cowboys Classic. Yes, Jerry World, AT&T Stadium, Arlington, Texas, the home of this past year's WrestleMania 32. 8 o'clock Eastern, ABC, the number 20 ranked USC Trojans going up against your reigning and defending college football playoff national champions, the number 1 ranked, rightfully so, Alabama Crimson Tide. You know who's calling this game. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, and not Heather Cox. Heather Cox left. I believe she went to NBC, I think. She has been replaced by another stunning beauty, Samantha Ponder. Yes, Samantha Ponder will be roaming the sidelines with Fowler and Herbstreit on your Saturday night primetime games this season. I cannot wait to see that. Spread. Alabama. Of course, Alabama is the favorite. 11.5 to 12-point spread for the Crimson Tide in Jerry World. I mean, oh, my. Inexperienced quarterbacks will be at the forefront of the matchup between number 1 Alabama and number 20 USC. The 2 college football blue bloods will meet for the first time since the 1985 Aloha Bowl on Saturday night at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Alabama coach Nick Saban announced this week that he had narrowed his quarterback competition to 2, redshirt junior Cooper Bateman and redshirt freshman Blake Barnett, without closing the door on dual threat true freshman Jalen Hurts at some point this season. Bateman attempted 52 passes last season, getting 1 start against Ole Miss before ceding the job back to Jake Coker. We want to play the guy that's the most ready to give us the best chance, Saban said. We also want to continue to develop guys that can compete at this position in the future. That's kind of where it is right now. There's really nothing else to talk about, nothing else to say. USC coach Clay Helton made his quarterback decision earlier in camp, going with junior Max Brown over redshirt freshman Sam Darnold, who has intriguing upside but couldn't yet close the gap in terms of knowing the system. Brown, though, threw only 19 passes as a backup to Cody Kessler in the past 2 seasons. We feel that it is in the best interest of our football team to lean on the veteran experience that Max Brown has, Helton said. That's especially true when playing the defending national champions. Alabama's defense, which allowed 15.1 points per game last season, will be top-notch again. The Crimson Tide has 4 defenders who ranked among the top 21 draft prospects for 2017, according to NFLDraftScout.com. Cornerback Marlon Humphrey, outside linebacker Tim Williams, inside linebacker Reuben Foster, and defensive end Jonathan Allen. Alabama offensive tackle Cam Robinson and tight end O.J. Howard are also considered first-round talent. USC has elite talent too, notably wide receiver, and here's another name for you, Juju Smith-Schuster, and cornerback returner Adoree Jackson. Sophomore talents such as Alabama receiver Calvin Ridley and USC running back Ronald Jones II aren't even eligible for the draft yet. There isn't a huge talent gap between the programs. The big difference has been coaching stability. Saban has led Alabama to 4 of the past 7 national titles. USC hasn't even won the Pac-12 since 2008, when Pete Carroll was still roaming the Trojan sidelines. USC is on its 3rd full-time coach since Carroll, with Helton being given the job after taking over on an interim basis following the 4th game of last season. Helton isn't as flashy as predecessors Steve Sarkisian or Lane Kiffin, now in his 3rd season as Alabama's offensive coordinator. He will rely on the physical offensive approach, led by a veteran line and 2 running backs, Jones, who had 987 yards, and Justin Davis, who have 1,000-yard potential. The line, however, will be missing injured left tackle Chad Wheeler in the opener. Sophomore Chuma Adoga takes his place with the unenviable task of trying to block Williams, who had 10.5 sacks last season in a situational role. He'll be an every down player this season. Alabama needing to replace Heisman-winning running back Derrick Henry, who will be young but talented, in the backfield with sophomores Bo Scarborough and Damian Harris, followed by 2 true freshmen. The Tide is pretty much loaded everywhere else, though, as Saban goes for his 6th overall national title, which would tie Alabama legend Paul Bear Bryant for the most ever. The Tide has been very good in neutral site openers. Alabama has defeated Michigan, Virginia Tech, West Virginia, and Wisconsin by an average of 36-16 in such games in the past 4 years. So with that being said, I know there's potential for a blowout here. I know Michael Fletcher is probably going to say it's going to be a rout. I'm sure he's probably going to say it's a rout because I know how high he is on Alabama. But do I have Alabama winning? Of course I have Alabama winning. I'm not an idiot. I got Bama winning this one. I mean, USC has a small chance. It's a small upside, but I like the young talent they have, especially Smith-Schuster and Jones II. The quarterbacking I'm a little weary about, but Bama's just too good. And there's really nothing left for me to say here. I got Alabama winning this game. I say I'm going to go – let me see. I think I'm going to go 45-35. Alabama beats USC in the Cowboys Classic. This is, to me, this is the game of the week, and this is the game I'm looking the most forward to in the entire opening weekend of college football. And the game I will be watching with a major vested interest come Saturday night. Believe that. So give me the champs, 45-35. Michael Fletcher, Cowboys Classic, USC, Alabama. To me, it's the game of the week. I don't care what anybody says. Your thoughts on this matchup between 2 of the greatest programs in the history of college football?
Oh, without a doubt. This is like your Mount Rushmore type matchup. I mean, USC and Alabama are definitely 2 of the Mount Rushmores of the greatest teams in college football history. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's no argument here, at least with the matchup. And the game itself, it on paper, it looks like a competitive matchup, but the thing is that I kind of have a sense or a feeling that my thing is I think Alabama will win it, and I agree. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a good matchup, but I think it's going to be a little more not as high scoring as many people has it. I got it like a 28-17 type affair, but I do think that Alabama will get the job done and they will win. So with that said, let's just move on to the next game.
And you'll start it off, Fletch, and I'm pretty sure this might be our last Dud Enhancement game. Maybe not. I don't know. But 8 o'clock kickoff on FSN or whatever network it is. The number 13 ranked TCU Horned Frogs at Amon G. Carter Stadium. They're home. They're going to be hosting the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State. And let me see who's going to be on the call for this one. Oh, yes. Mark Followell, Ben Lieber, and Leslie McCaslin. They'll be on the call at TCU for that one. And the Spread. Unfortunately, I do not have a spread for this one, but you have to imagine TCU's got to be a sizable favorite here. So, Fletch, South Dakota State, and TCU. I already know who you have, but just give us a brief thought if you would.
No, this is an easy call. TCU, really nothing more to say. It's going to be a blowout, so Floyer, what's yours?
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a rout. I got TCU. TCU should win this one going away. Kenny Hill will be the quarterback for TCU. Last time he started the season opener, he was playing for Texas A&M, passing for 511 yards as a sophomore to lead the Aggies to a 52-28 win over South Carolina, August 28th of 2014. But Kenny Hill will be the starter this time for head coach Gary Patterson. And, he beat out sophomore Foster Sawyer for the starting job. And that's all there is to say about that. And hang on a minute. Oh, okay, that's you, Fletch. I thought both might have been back in. But, all right. The only loss Patterson has in home openers came in his first year, ironically, against Northwestern State, then a 1AA program. But, I mean, the defense, they got 13 starters back from an 11-2 team that came within 2 points of winning the Big 12. And, they've been in that mix, but there's really nothing left to say here. TCU is going to win this thing going away, no doubt about it. So, Now we come to the Battle of the Tigers here. This should be an interesting one. 9 o'clock kickoff on ESPN. We got the number 2 ranked national runners-up from a year ago, the Clemson Tigers, going up against the alma mater of one of our biggest supporters, one of my personal favorites, the beautiful Lindsay McCormick, her alma mater, the Auburn Tigers, Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn. This game will be on ESPN. And guess who's going to be calling this game for ESPN? You're going to love this. I think when I do the tagline, you'll know who it is. You are looking live at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Yes, it's him, the legendary Brent Musburger with Jesse Palmer and the beautiful, and I do mean beautiful, Kaylee Hartung on the field. She'll be doing the sideline work. Musburger, Palmer, and Hartung will be on the call. Clemson and Auburn. And the spread favors Clemson. Not as big as you think. 7.5 to 8 is the spread in favor of Clemson when they go up against Auburn on Saturday night. And of course, Clemson coach Dabo Swinney and number 2 ranked Tigers will face former defensive coordinator Kevin Steele Saturday when Clemson plays Auburn in a key early season matchup in Auburn's Jordan-Hare Stadium. Dabo Swinney fired Steele after Clemson's Orange Bowl debacle of 2011 when the Tigers surrendered a bowl record 70 points in a 70-33 loss to West Virginia. It was very difficult because I have a tremendous amount of respect for Coach Steele. Swinney said he is a great football coach, a great man with a great family. Coach Steele was a huge part of us laying a foundation here in 09, 10, and 11. He helped us win our first ACC championship in 20 years. Steele has had stints with Alabama, LSU, and Auburn since, but his first time facing Swinney and Clemson's prolific offense comes in the primetime opener. Coming off a 14-1 season, Clemson has the offensive firepower to make a return trip to the college football playoff if things fall into place. Tigers are blessed with the return of 8 offensive starters, starting with quarterback Deshaun Watson, who finished 3rd in Heisman Trophy voting last year, 1,500-yard rusher Wayne Gallman, and a stable full of talented wide receivers led by potential first-round draft pick Mike Williams. Clemson's offense set myriad school records last season. In 2016 could prove even more productive, but Swinney isn't counting on anything yet. There are a lot of unknowns, he said. They have players we don't know a lot about, and we have players they don't know a lot about. You don't ever really know until you see a team for 2 or 3 games. Speaking of unknowns, there are several surrounding Auburn's situation. The Tigers, who were 7-6 last year, settled their quarterback situation when Coach Gus Malzahn named sophomore Sean White the starter over senior Jeremy Johnson and junior college transfer John Franklin III. He's earned it, Malzahn said of the selection of White, who started 5 games last year before sidelined by injury. But there are depth issues at wide receiver, and running back took a hit with the dismissal of projected starter Jovan Robinson, sophomore Kerryon Johnson, and newcomers Malik Miller and Cam Martin, a transfer from Baylor. who is granted immediate eligibility, and sophomore Cameron Petway may solve the issue at running back, but receiver is another matter. Seniors Marcus Davis and Tony Stevens have the most experience, but the falloff from them is huge, with junior Jason Smith recording only 13 catches and sophomore Stanton Truitt only 1. Behind them are 4 true freshmen: Kyle Davis, Nate Craig Myers, Eli Stove, and Marcus McLean. We are going to need those older guys, offensive coordinator Rhett Lashley said. Auburn leads the series with Clemson 34-13 with 2 ties and won the last meeting 26-19 in 2012. So that's really the only upside Auburn has. I got Clemson winning this game. I hate to do it to Linz. You know how much I love Linz. Everybody knows my love affair with Lindsey McCormick. And I do mean love affair, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to break my my love affair's heart here. I hate to do it, but I got to be honest. Clemson's going to win this thing going away. Watson's going to go off. Gallman's going to go off. That's all there is to say about it. I got Clemson winning this one. I'm going to say the final here will be 34-17. Clemson over Auburn. I think Auburn will give them some. Maybe Auburn will give them some fits early, but Clemson will ultimately just be too much for them. So I got Clemson winning this one, 34-17. Should be a so-so game. So, all right, Fletch, Clemson and Auburn, the legendary Brent Musburger at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, no, this is going to be a great game. This is going to be a great matchup, no doubt about it. Unfortunately, it's the wrong time for Auburn. They're running into a juggernaut. They're running into a team that felt like they should have won the national championship last year, and they're even stronger this year. So, yeah, Lindsey, sorry, my dear, but I got Clemson winning as well. And it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a thrilling matchup. The final score I have is I got it 28-17, but I do have Clemson getting the job done and winning this game. So let's just move on to the next one, which is a special Sunday night game.
Yes, it is. Oh, yes, it indeed is. And I believe you'll be starting this one off, Fletch. Sunday, September 4th, Sunday night, ABC, 7:30 kickoff from Darrell K. Royal Texas Memorial Stadium / Jamale Field. It'll be the number 10th ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish. All hail Notre Dame. Cheer, cheer for old Notre Dame. Wake up the echoes, cheering her name. Send a volley, cheer on high. Shake down the thunder from the sky. What though the odds be great or small? Old Notre Dame will win overall, while her loyal sons are marching onward to victory. Yes, I broke out the fight song. I told you I was going to. So that was just a little sample of it. I wasn't going to do the whole thing. It's Notre Dame going up against the Texas Longhorns at Darrell K. Royal's Texas Memorial Stadium, Jamale Field. ABC, Sunday night, 7:30 kickoff. No longer Brad Nessler. Remember, Brad Nessler left ESPN. He's going to be on CBS now. His replacement will be working this game, Joe Tessitore. The great Joe Tessitore. I love this guy's body of work. He's one of my new favorite announcers. I've loved his body of work for the last couple of years now. Joe Tessitore with Todd Blackledge and Holly Rowe. They'll be in Austin for Notre Dame against Texas. So, oh yeah, and before I give it to you, Fletch, the spread favors Notre Dame. Notre Dame is favored by 3-4. So, all right, Michael Fletcher, Notre Dame against Texas in Austin. Your thoughts on this one?
I gotta go with Notre Dame. The team is just very loaded, and they've won the last 5 meetings. It didn't matter if it was in Texas. It didn't matter if it was at South Bend. It was just Notre Dame winning, and they've played some great matchups in the past. But I gotta say it, Notre Dame is just one of those teams that just knows how to play and knows what to bring to the table. The only thing that makes this very interesting is that Brian Kelly doesn't know who his quarterback is going to be going into the game. Neither is Charlie Strong. He hasn't even decided who they're gonna start. But it says that DeShone Kizer and Malik Zaire are basically going to split the duties. Of course, everybody knows Notre Dame coming off a very good 10-3 season. Not a great way to end the year as they got stomped by Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl. But, we're going to wait and see what happens there. And then, of course, with Strong, he doesn't really have a legitimate number one. He's got Tyrone Swoops, who really hasn't shown the ability to run. And then you got Shane Blackledge, a true freshman getting his first opportunity. And, we'll wait and see. Is there going to be a first true freshman to take over the reins for the Longhorns since Bobby Lane back in 1944? Think about that. They haven't had a true freshman being the starting quarterback for the Longhorns since 44. Wow. But whatever the case may be, I gotta go with Notre Dame. I think they're gonna win this game, even though I know the odds are like 3 points. But I got Notre Dame winning this one, actually bigger than that. 27-17. Notre Dame wins it. Florio, I give it to you.
Wow, nice knowledge there, Fletch. Yeah, you definitely did your homework on this one, and yeah, I mean, you pretty much covered what I was going to get into about both coaches, Brian Kelly and Charlie Strong, having not made up their minds about their starting quarterbacks. So no need for me to get into that. But I will say, Kelly said last season he felt a two-quarterback system was not a path to failure, whereas most coaches follow the football mantra that if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. Perhaps Kelly is challenging both players, but he said this week he truly wants to find out if one or both are ready for prime time. Kaiser replaced Zaire in the 2015 opener and helped the Irish to a 10-3 record last season. Kelly is playing his cards so close to the vest that he even said he would consider putting the quarterbacks on the field at the same time. Though Strong didn't reveal any choice, he really has just one legitimate option. Senior quarterback Tyrone Swoops hasn't shown the ability to command the position the last 2 years, so it could be likely true freshman Shane Buckley's turn. And if Buckley does start against Notre Dame, like Fletch said, he'll be the first true freshman to start for the Longhorns since Bobby Lane all the way back in 1944. But that's what Texas fans are hoping to see. Anything less will not sit easy, but that won't be Strong's determining factor. The fans, they'll be fine, Strong said. Both of those guys are competing. It's been a great matchup. Our team's going to know who the starting quarterback is. Those aren't the only issues with the two teams, of course. The Irish have among the fewest number of returning starters in the country after losing their top rusher, 3 leading receivers, 4 top tacklers, a sack leader, and several offensive line standouts. So Kelly is taking a back-to-basics approach. Chuck Noll made it famous with his football team with the Steelers, but that's true with this team, Kelly said. If they just do the basics, the ordinary things, and they do them very well, this is going to be a good football team. Strong, meanwhile, is looking for a turnaround for his Longhorns, who struggled through a 5-7 campaign in 2015 that began with a 38-3 whipping at Notre Dame. But Strong said that the team's attitude has changed since last season, as has the intensity and the bond among the players and coaches. We're not that team anymore, Strong said, referring to the 2015 squad. That's not us. We're a totally different team than we were last season. This will be the 12th meeting between the two storied programs. The Irish hold a 9-2 advantage in the series and have won all 4 prior games played in Austin. And the Irish have also won the last 5 meetings. So, all right, Michael Bullock is back in. He just messaged me on Facebook. We lost him for a little bit. But let me give my prediction anyway. I got Notre Dame winning this game as well. I'm going to go 24-14. Notre Dame beats Texas in Austin. Hey, Fletch, do you remember where we left off with Bullock before we lost him? You wouldn't remember, would you?
I think it was Washington and Rutgers.
Did you give a pick for that one?
Yeah, I already did.
Yeah, you had Washington, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll catch you up. We're going to catch Bullock up before we get to our final game. We're only 1 game away, so you came back just in time, Bullock. We're gonna have you go rapid fire, like we usually do when we catch you up. So let's start it off. Number 5 LSU going up against Wisconsin at Lambeau Field. Who you got?
LSU. I got LSU winning this one.
All right, you got LSU. All right. The season premiere of the SEC on CBS. We have number 16 UCLA going up against Texas A&M. Your thoughts on that?
I got the UCLA Bruins winning this one, and and I think it's a new era at the SEC on CBS.
No, Vern Lundquist is still there.
He's still there.
This year's his last year. Next
This
year
year
is the new era.
I got that all confused.
No, that's okay. And remember, we talked about that on Strictly Sports some time ago. So
yeah,
Vern Lundquist will be there with Gary Danielson and Ali LaForce. Don't worry. Next year is when Brad Nessler takes over. So
all right.
So you got UCLA. Okay. Then we have Miami of Ohio going up against number 17 Iowa. Who do you like there?
Yeah, I got Iowa winning that one.
All right, fair enough. Southeastern Louisiana going up against number 21 Oklahoma State.
I got Oklahoma State winning this one.
Okay, UC Davis going up against number 24 Oregon.
Oregon, without a shadow of a doubt.
And then another one of our headline matchups of the week: number 18 Georgia going up against number 22 North Carolina in the Georgia Dome.
Yeah, I got the Georgia Bulldogs winning this one. I mean, this is one that could basically go either way.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Then we have UMass going up against number 25 Florida.
Oh, I got Florida winning this one.
All right, the game of the week, the Cowboys Classic, number 20 USC, number 1 Alabama at Jerry World, AT&T Stadium for the Cowboys Classic. Your thoughts on that big one?
Whew. All I can say is I'm definitely going to be tuned in for this one. Of course, the return of the Saturday Night Football on ABC.
Yes.
Of course, we all know who's calling that game. Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit.
With Samantha Ponder on the sidelines.
Yeah, no more Heather Cox.
Yes, she left for NBC.
Yeah, so of course I gotta go with Alabama. I mean, they're the defending college football playoff national champions, and unless I see something from USC that makes me want to go with them, I gotta go with the champs, Alabama, to win this one. So give me the Crimson Tide to win this one, and roll Tide, roll.
Roll Tide, roll indeed. And then next up we have South Dakota State going up against number 13 TCU.
Oh, TCU. Yeah, I got TCU winning this one.
And then we got number 2 Clemson going up against Auburn at Auburn. 9 o'clock game on ESPN. The legendary Brent Musburger. The legendary Brent Musburger on the call. So your thoughts on that?
Wow. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, he was on the call tonight on that Tennessee Appalachian State game on the SEC Network.
Indeed he was.
So I guess we could just say, so nice, we get Brent Musburger twice. So
yes, sir.
Yeah. So give me the Clemson Tigers to win this one.
And then the game we just talked about. This was the game that we just got into before you came back in. Number 10 Notre Dame going up against Texas on Sunday night on ABC. Who do you like in that one?
The Fighting Irish. I got the Fighting Irish beating Texas on this night. So now let's get to our final game.
And in many people's eyes, in some people's eyes, this to them is the game of the week. And Bullock, we're gonna have you start off on this one. Labor Day, Monday night, from Camping World Stadium, formerly the Citrus Bowl in Orlando, Florida, the future home of WrestleMania 33. It will be the number 11 ranked Ole Miss Rebels going up against the number 4 ranked Florida State Seminoles, 8 o'clock Eastern, Monday night on ESPN. And calling this game, speaking of so nice we get him twice, Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, and Samantha Ponder. They're going to be on site in Orlando. And Florida State is the favorite. Florida State, a 4 to 4.5 point favorite. Michael Bullock, in some people's eyes, this is their game of the week. I don't know about you. I think USC and Alabama is the game of the week for me. But nonetheless, this is another one of our headline matchups. Ole Miss, Florida State. Your thoughts on this big one in Orlando?
I'll be quite honest. I'm going to say this is the co-game of the week. I mean, it's to me. I mean, because mean, it's tough when I mean, you have two teams to me who are really good with the Ole Miss and Florida State, but to me, I mean, I gotta give the slight edge to Florida State in this one. I just think they're the better team, and I think Ole Miss will definitely give this team some fits, but in the end, they'll find a way to pull it out at the end. So give me uh so give me Florida State to win this one. My final score is going to be 27-24, and all I can say is this is going to be one fun game to watch on Monday night. So, Florio, it is yours.
Yeah. What else is there to say? I mean, definitely co-game of the week if you really think about it. I mean, when you look at the as I look at my notes that I have for this one, just waiting for them to load. Okay. The two coaches have slightly opposing views of the venue for Monday night's clash between number 4 Florida State and number 11 Ole Miss that winds up college football's opening weekend. Orlando's Camping World Stadium, previously known as the Citrus Bowl, is a mere 4.5-hour drive from the Seminoles campus in Tallahassee. The Ole Miss campus in Oxford is 627 miles away as the crow flies, and over 150 miles longer when it comes to driving distance. It has its advantages, Seminoles coach Jimbo Fisher said, noting an immediate introduction for his team to a bowl game, playoff-like atmosphere, and national exposure. Not to mention a history that shows the Noles have gone 8-0-2 when they have played in Orlando dating back to 1952. The disadvantage? You have to play a great opponent, he said, laughing. Rebels coach Hugh Freeze had slightly different opinion when the subject was brought up during the summer at the SEC Media Day. I did get a kick out of our AD telling me it's a neutral site game, Freeze said, and I'd use that in quotes, neutral site. And I explained to him, anytime you go on the road to a neutral site game and you have to use silent cadence, it shouldn't be considered a neutral site. So we'll have a great opposition there in a lot of ways, and it will be an atmosphere that we have to handle. Florida State will be starting a new quarterback in DeAndre Francois, who will be their second redshirt freshman starter in the last 4 years for the Seminoles. The other, Heisman winner Jameis Winston. Francois was named the starter after fifth-year senior quarterback Sean McGuire all but ended the preseason competition when he fractured a bone in his foot during one of the Seminoles' first practices. But Francois already had established himself as the front runner. If you didn't think it was official a long time ago, Fisher said of the decision, "I'm worried about you." Ole Miss has a veteran and one of the top quarterbacks in the SEC in senior Chad Kelly, a top-ranked prospect according to NFLDraftScout.com. But the Noles have a weapon the Rebels don't have in running back Dalvin Cook. Cook has rushed for 2,699 yards in just 2 years and is only 1,261 yards away from breaking Warwick Dunn's school record. Freeze was asked who in the SEC Cook might remind him of. "We didn't play Georgia last year, but he is probably similar to their guy," he said, referring to Nick Chubb. "He's a lower center of gravity, makes you miss in space a bit more than the ones you have mentioned, it seems to me." Fisher described Kelly as a competitor and said the Seminoles would be wary of opening running lanes with an aggressive pass rush, citing Kelly's ability to make big plays with his feet. "To me, of all the things you see the physical things, but you see his competitiveness all the time," Fisher said of Kelly. This will be just the second meeting between the two schools. The first one was all the way back in 1961, with Ole Miss winning 33-0 in Oxford. Yeah, that's not going to happen this time. I got Florida State winning this one. And you know what? I kind of like Bullock's score there. I think I'll go with that same score. I think I'll go 27-24. Florida State beats Ole Miss. Should be one of the games of the week. Should be another classic matchup. Shakespearean drama all around. So, Michael Fletcher, Ole Miss, Florida State, and the Citrus Bowl on Monday night, Labor Day Monday night. Your thoughts on this big one?
Yeah, no doubt about it. This is a huge matchup. This is going to be a great game as well. To definitely close the first week of the college football season. Ole Miss and Florida State. I gotta say, Florida State, they're virtually unbeaten. They 8-0-2 when they play in Orlando, dating back to 1952. And not only that, but there's high expectations for the Seminoles as well. I don't think they're going to lose this game as well. This is going to be a very good matchup. But I think it's going to be somewhat of a blowout. I think because of the fact that Florida State's going to feed off that crowd in Orlando, they're going to have that home. So it's going to feel like a little bit of a home game because Tallahassee and Orlando is not that far from each other. They're about a couple of hours from each other. So I got Florida State winning this one, and I'm gonna go with 27-13 is my final score. Anthony, let's put a wrap on this night.
Yes, and that will indeed put the bow on this season premiere of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. Now, remember, tomorrow night there will not be a show. We don't have a show tomorrow night. The only reason being, myself and Michael Fletcher and 3 others, as of now, will be taking part in our Strictly Sports Fantasy Football League draft at the same time tomorrow night. So I want you to remember that. Only 5 spots have been filled. We're looking to fill 11 more spots. Hopefully we can get that done, but it's easier said than done. So no show tomorrow night. We'll next be with you Monday night for following Raw on Labor Day night, of course, for another all-new edition of Ridiculously Raw. We'll review Monday Night Raw, and I'll give you my thoughts on the Cruiserweight Classic. And let me tell you something. The last Cruiserweight Classic that I saw, wait till you hear what I have to say about that. That's all I got to say. And then I'll also get into Impact Wrestling as well. And then Tuesday night, 10:30, Braves Fan 95. Michael Fletcher will be with you for the Cerebral Smack Talk. We'll review SmackDown Live, and then Fletcher will have his Mikey's mindset on whatever he's got on his mind. And then next Thursday night, we'll be back with you for week 2 of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday at 10:30 next Thursday night, right back here on the Tone 25. And then next Friday night, September 9th at 10:30, we'll mark the season premiere of Strictly Sports NFL Friday. Really looking forward to that. So very exciting stuff coming up. And then we'll also be getting into the Backlash special on the WWE Network that weekend as well. So that's when the loaded weeks start to come in. So that'll do it for this. So until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, it's Anthony Florio here for Michael Bullock, and in spirit, Michael Fletcher and Derek Ferreira saying, you know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up 14-4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Enjoy this long holiday weekend. Enjoy all the college football action. And until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, you've been watching the season premiere of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube.com. For now, Anthony Florio. So long.